What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and happy Saturday to all of you out there. Welcome to the Saturday Chat and Chill, where we kick back, relax, and talk about one topic in the King of Fighters All-Star community for about 15 minutes. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this week's topic. So this week's topic is one that is going to be something I feel like is very important to talk about because the game has been in a very interesting position lately as it pertains to power creep. Now, of course, we all know power creep has been a problem in this game for a very long time. However, it does seem as though, especially with the lament of the EX Volume 7 banner, that the power creep has just hit an all-new high. And this is very interesting and something that we need to discuss as it pertains to how to budget going forward and kind of some of the byproducts of this change as this power creep begins to spike more and more from banner to banner. And right now I feel like it's a very good time to talk about it, considering the fact that not only do we have the current banner that is the current meta, but we also have some of the past meta characters. And I don't want to say past meta, because as I've stated here on the channel before, characters, whenever they release whatever content they're able to get through at the time, they're always going to be able to get through that content. With that being said, the characters that you see here on these rerun banners, all of them are still going to be absolutely incredibly good. It's just that I feel like there's this god tier where you have the current cream of the crop, top of the heap, top of the mountain type characters, and then everybody else kind of falls right beneath them. And that's where I feel like these current characters on these rerun banners are. That isn't to say any of them are bad, it's just to say that characters such as these two, being the two newest characters, with power creep being such as it is, they're just going to be that much stronger, but that doesn't mean a whole lot outside of a few key areas which we'll kind of discuss in this video. So with that being said, let's go ahead now and talk about kind of the meat and potatoes of today's video, which is how should you budget going forward, and how would I look at these banners if I were someone that was new to the game, intermediate to the game. Of course, veterans are already kind of going to know what they're going to be doing with these types of banners, or already have some of these characters, so it's easier for us, but for other people, there are decisions to be made here. Now, the first thing I need to preface this with is if it is a favorite, like if you have a favorite character, I've always said this from day one here on the channel, always pull for your favorites. If you have a favorite character, by all means, go as far and as deep as you're willing to go, and that is up to you, that's your prerogative. However, if you're someone who purely is approaching the game as someone who wants to try and clear as much content as possible, who wants to spend accordingly and frugally and be a free-to-play in this game and survive this climate, you're going to need to be a lot pickier than other people, right? So what you're going to have to really kind of look at here is, of course, the value proposition. Now, the first thing I'm going to say about the value proposition of these banners is, first and foremost, one of the big things that you need to learn if you're a new player is when it comes to card banners are where most of your value is going to lie. And the reason I say that is because specifically, especially with these newer card banners, these card sets and these option cards have been absolutely ridiculously broken, not just on the characters that are going to be out at the time with the banner itself, but also on past characters. So when you take a look at these card sets and these option cards, a lot of the times anymore, we're getting a lot of crit rate, a lot of crit damage, and those are things that you really want to look at because those are things that are going to raise your CP very high. Specifically as it compares to things such as defense bonuses, HP bonuses, or attack bonuses, it's going to be better for your CP to get crit rate and crit damage. Those are going to be, and in that order, crit rate always gives more, typically speaking, and then crit damage. But either way, crit is going to be where you're going to get a lot of CP. So if you're somebody that is trying to chase specific things in the game, such as some of the CP gated content where you need just that much higher CP levels, then you would want to really look at those. But with that being said, anytime a banner comes out, always consider the fact that the character that you're pulling for probably going to end up getting leapfrogged on the tier list by the next banner, which is typically only a couple of weeks time. So you aren't really necessarily going to want to focus things there as much as you would want to focus on cards, because you might have a bunch of good characters, but if you don't have good cards, you're not going very far. So that's very important, and it is something that you need to consider. I would say that when it comes to cards versus characters, those are the most important things, right? Now, when it comes to characters, however, being the power creep is such as it is right now, if you were to take a look at these past banners with these characters, you would obviously see some very good characters here. And I've talked about this in my breakdown of the different events. If you guys haven't seen that video, link will be in the description. But when it comes to these banners being rerun, while all of these characters are very good in their own right, they are of course going to be a step below the current banner. So if you're purely chasing the meta, right now the meta is defined by these two, and these are going to be characters that I would say, especially right now with power creep being so high, let's put it this way, these two characters right here, and if you didn't see my Nakoruru video, check that one out as well. But when it comes to the power creep here, if you need to see a difference, these two characters right here are going to be putting up at A1, these two characters at A1 are going to be putting up double, triple, quadruple, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times the amount of damage of the rest of these characters that are being rerun, and it's kind of ridiculous. But that's where we're at, and unfortunately this is the position Netmarble has put me in. Now, with that being said, if you're somebody who isn't just trying to chase the giant numbers, because let's be honest, things such as Guild Raid, Spider Robot, all these different things, there's only so much damage you need to do, right? So that's kind of where your prerogative comes in on which characters you like, and kind of just going with what your favorites are. However, if you're someone purely looking for numbers, obviously there, but when it comes to not looking at numbers, besides favoritism, I always try to look at how many things is this character going to get me through. Specifically speaking, when it comes to other in-game content, time attack is one of the most important things that you can consider when it comes to PvE content, because it is going to be where you're going to get daily rubies. And then honestly, I think that one of the big things that people don't talk enough about is how important things such as Absolute War, which is not only going to be where you're going to get a lot of rubies, but also where you're going to get fame, but also League. Those are two things that are very important because of rubies. So when we talk about these different characters, you also need to consider those as well, because that's going to be where you're going to be replenishing a lot of your resources along with time attack. And that's going to be somewhere where characters such as, if we take a look here, a character such as Lady Choi is absolutely going to excel. This is a character that's incredibly good there. But again, when you talk about time attack and things like that, these characters are so good because the finisher spam and all that. But with that being said, these characters are all very strong. So again, guys, when you're trying to budget, if you're not looking at just big numbers, you have to look, in my opinion, at how many things are these characters going to be good at for me, if again, you're not going for favorites. So with that being said, if you're looking at things such as reviving Hell's Dungeon and use specific types or whatever the case may be, a lot of times anymore, most people just go with the explosion cheat basically at that point in reviving Hell's Dungeon and don't even worry about it. So dot explosion, if you really want to go for it, that's really important. But really, when it comes to these characters, if you had to narrow it down and go, okay, well, what am I going to look at here as far as the value proposition across a bunch of different modes? Where am I going to get the most legwork out of characters? Then I would honestly say that you would go with Cronin, because out of the 4, Cronin is, in my opinion, the better of all 4 of them. He's going to have the most potential across a bunch of different modes, and he's an incredibly strong character. And then even his card banner is very strong as well. Not to say this one isn't, but hey, at the end of the day, I prefer Cronin over these other 3. Now, with that said, that's how I look at it. However, going forward, we need to consider the fact that power creep is out of control, and there is not a lot of new in-game content that gets dropped on us from month to month, year to year even. So being that as it is, as I've already mentioned, any of these past characters, anything that they can clear when they release, they're still going to be able to clear a year down the road. So they're always going to be as good. They're going to be just as good as they always were, kind of in a stasis period unless they ever get a buff, which we don't have any history of EX characters getting buffs yet, but that'll eventually happen. So with that said, these characters will all undoubtedly get better over time. However, they are going to never be at the point where some of these other characters are, especially characters a year down the road from now. That's going to be a completely different league. So that being said, guys, I think that you need to definitely consider your options now, but it's a lot easier, I feel like, for players that are on a budget to go in and clear a lot of content right now. It's probably easier than it's ever been, because if you can go ahead and hop into the game, you just downloaded the game, and you get all of those new player rubies, and you go in and you want to summon on a banner and go to pity one time on the Samurai Shodown banner, if you were to do that, then you're going to end up with one or both of these characters and probably a memory. Hopefully, if you didn't get completely shafted, you should at least get one copy of one of them on the way to the pity. you get that A1 Nakoruru or that Haomaru, they're going to carry you. So you can get just that many more rubies and spiral it and spiral it. And I would honestly say one pity, if you could easily get yourself just that one A1, that is going to give you so much value, because you're going to be able to one key guild raid. You're going to be able to go into Spider Robot eventually and just absolutely face roll with Nakoruru. You're going to be able to go into things like Deimos base and have at least some extra tiers that you can clear there. Immortal, so you can get tons of rubies there and probably clear all of them with these characters. It's pretty ridiculous. So with that said, you gotta consider these things when you're trying to budget, and if you consider those options there and those different things that you could do with these characters, even at a low awakening, consider the fact that these characters here, you would need to get them to A5 and go to multiple pities just to get them even close to that, and they're not going to hit those numbers even then. So in my opinion, you got to think about it that way, unless you're approaching it as a collector or a favoritism type thing. It has to be something that you think about, otherwise you're not going to survive the climate. Now, of course, at the end of this video, I need to talk about the big pink elephant in the room, and that's of course going to be collaborations. Collaborations, you never know. Collaborations are not necessarily foolproof. You never know what you're going to get with a collaboration. Sometimes it's absolutely ridiculous and bonkers and takes the meta and shakes it up, or it's kind of ho-hum, and you could almost make a case for being like, I'm good on most of this, which is fine. But you never know what you're going to get with a collaboration. It's very tough to tell. I always recommend that you be kind of aware of a collaboration maybe being around the corner, like the period we're in now, where we might see one here in the next update, but if not, probably definitely the next update after that, in my opinion. I still think that that is the case. And so with that being said, I think that you need to be aware of it, but don't necessarily just live and die off of it either, because we have seen collaborations come and go, and typically speaking, these EX banners are eventually just going to absolutely trounce them in a huge way. And we've seen that over time now. So I think that that's something that you need to consider as well. Of course, it is easier to get a plethora of characters in a collaboration, or at least multiple characters in a collaboration, and get them built up as far as how much you're investing potentially, but anymore with the EX rates the way that they are and things going on with EXs being introduced, that isn't necessarily so much the case anymore. So I do definitely feel like while you do need to consider it, it doesn't need to be your sole consideration. A lot of people, I think, overblow it in a big way, and I don't necessarily think that we're still in that place where those collaborations were must save fors. They were one of those things now where it almost feels like these banners are probably going to trounce them very quickly, especially with Powercreep being such as it is. And again, if you go back to being one of those people that's about big numbers, then that's going to be what you care about. Otherwise, it's going to be the collector or the favoritism thing that comes into play there, and at that point, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, you guys, I do definitely think that if you're considering pulling on these banners, consider right now that there is a collaboration potentially on the horizon in the next month. However, also consider what I've talked about in this video. Definitely take a look at cards first, and then from there decide on characters, because cards are going to be something that you can use over and over and over again, no matter what new character comes out. If it's somebody like an EX character for these EX sets, chances are they're probably going to enjoy it in some capacity, and you're going to get a lot of legwork out of it. And up until recently, cards have always aged better than characters. However, nowadays that may not be the case anymore, and if so, I can definitely talk about it in a future video. But with that said, guys, in my opinion, if you had to choose anything, you're pulling on the Samurai of Storms banner, you're ignoring these banners, and honestly, that isn't to say that these characters aren't good. These characters are great and have their place, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to budget, this is where you want to focus all of your rubies, because this is going to give you the most bang for your buck, and this is going to get you the furthest in the game. But anyway, you guys, that is just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below what you decided to spend your rubies on during this period. Have you just decided to turtle and save? I know for me personally, I'm heavily considering going in at least one pity, but I haven't decided yet. We'll have to wait and see. You guys stay tuned and I'll let you know. But anyway, you guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe. And until the next one, you all take care. Peace.
Continue.